Now, what does the future hold for the monarchy? To discuss this, I'm joined by historian of the monarchy, Anna Whitelock, and Kimberly McIntosh, who is a writer and commentator. Thanks to both of you for coming on the programme. Let me start with you, Kimberly. I gather that you're a Republican, so I wonder what today's funeral meant to you.
So I think today's funeral, like any funeral, means a lot to the people affected. I think grief, I think loss is extremely difficult. And I always respect anyone who is moved and hurt by the loss of something and someone that matters to them. And just because, you know, this isn't a day that I feel that I need to commemorate in the same way as other people doesn't mean that I don't understand how much it means to others. So for me, you know, today isn't a day where I felt like I needed to mourn publicly with others, but I very much appreciate how much this matters to a lot of people in this country and in many other countries as well.
And do you think the fact that it was scaled down so dramatically because of COVID, it was a much smaller family affair than, you know, the Duke might have wanted, that many people expected a year ago? Do you think that you know, did you appreciate that? I mean, is that what you like to see? You know, less royalty, less pomp and circumstance, less pageantry?
What's really important is, you know, did the family members get what they needed? And I think so many during this lockdown have had to go to funerals that had less people than, you know, we would have liked to have had, less people celebrating a life. And to see that the royal family have also had to go through that, I think many people appreciate that, seeing that they are in it together with all of us. I wouldn't feel comfortable saying, you know, what do I want in a day of loss for others? I don't think it's about me and what I want. I wouldn't comment on that.
Okay, let's turn to Anna Whitelock then. Anna Whitelock, it has often been said that COVID is an accelerator of many trends in society that were there before, that were nascent, that have now been sped up by the arrival of the pandemic. Do you think the same could apply to the future of the monarchy?
I think it's very hard to say. I mean, we're certainly now in the twilight of this long Elizabethan reign. And as the Queen sat there, she cut a very diminished figure. With great dignity did she watch as her husband's body was lowered into the vault. But it is the beginning of the end. And it's been a long chapter of continuity. And yes, it was pared down, but ironically, it meant that the royal family could represent many families across the country who are grieving and who have lost someone. And in a sense, that does then represent something. The question, though, is what is the future? I mean, the monarchy is aged. It's old in every sense, not just as an institution, but of course, the next heir is Prince Charles, who's now in his 70s. So the question is, you know, what is the function of monarchy? What does it say about Britain and, of course, the other countries, the other 15 countries that also have the Queen as head of state? And that is no doubt a debate that is going to be had, not today, of course, but when the Queen passes, there will be a debate across generations, across society. Different groups will have a voice and will want to argue one way or the other about the future of the monarchy. And I really, really hope we can have that debate across the media. And to be honest, the media needs to also move beyond the deferential 1950s. Channel 4 perhaps notwithstanding, but there is a sense of kind of deferential reporting of royalty. We need to get beyond that. We need to talk about what the monarchy is for, what it represents. Let's discuss it like we discuss politics, all shades of opinion, and see what the future therefore holds, what people want.
Let me turn to Kimberly. Kimberly, imagine the monarchy didn't exist, if it were to be abolished, which some people in this country want, perhaps you as well, what should replace it? And should it be replaced by anything at all?
I think it's a really important question. And does it actually need to be replaced by anything at all? We could take it to a referendum. We know the difficulties that come with a referendum and the fallout that can happen with that, the division. But ultimately, this is a question for the British public. This is a conversation that needs to continue and keep happening. But I don't know if there does need to be a head of state above the Prime Minister. But I think that's a question that needs to be taken to the British public. I'm not sure that at the moment there is a movement for republicanism. And I think that's okay. But I think that's a question that we need to keep coming back to as we keep reevaluating, you know, what Britain is, what Britain is for, and what our future looks like. But I think that's a question for the nation.
Anna Whitelock, if I could finally turn to you. I mean, when the Meghan and Harry and Oprah Winfrey interview came out a few months ago, there was an enormous amount of jaw-dropping going on across the kingdom, and people said this could be the end of the monarchy if they don't heal those rifts. And then we saw today at the funeral procession William and Harry walking quite far apart, and that wasn't just social distancing. They had Peter Phillips in the middle as a kind of buffer. Then they were chatting to each other a little bit, perhaps awkwardly. We don't know what they said, of course, after the service. How important is it that they heal their rift in order to ensure the survival of this institution?
Well, of course, on some level, it doesn't matter. Constitutionally, it's not significant. Charles is heir and then William, and Harry, in that sense, is an irrelevance. However, there is no doubt that Charles envisaged a slimmed-down monarchy supported by his two sons. And, you know, the alternative sort of exile course of Harry and Meghan in LA, you know, isn't a good look for the monarchy and the royal family. And really, they do need Harry and Meghan back on board because, of course, they represented so much, not least a kind of diversity, which now has been lost. And whether there's a way back in for Harry and Meghan remains to be seen. I don't think we should read too much into the words exchanged today between the princes. And I think their cousin was between them because he was the eldest grandchild. So it remains to be seen exactly how far the reconciliations happen. But certainly, I think, you know, Prince Philip and the Queen would take comfort in that sight today.
OK, got to leave it there. Anna Whitelock and Kimberly McIntosh, thank you very much indeed.